you to the panelists for gracing the occasion. We are going to talk about legislation specifically today, and the legislation focusing on Maharashtra, but we'll try to touch upon topics which are useful for data center industry, investment, development per se. The introductions to the panel has already been done, so it's very good occasion that we can speak specifically from a Maharashtra perspective, which is Mumbai being the 50% market share for data centers in India. We can speak from the central government perspective, and we can also take inputs from a developer construction perspective in terms of what are the challenges and what are the good things happening on the ground which we should continue working on. I'll ask a few questions, and I don't think, considering the short tenure, we'll have time for Q&A, but I'll ask a few questions to each panelists. We'll discuss those points, and if there's anything else that you would like to ask us, then you can reach out to me separately after the panel. We're happy to help you there. Maybe I could start with a bit of a context setting. Legislation for data centers is being evolved, created, and changed across the world. The boom that we are seeing in India is happening across the world. India is no unique here. And if I specifically talk about the Asia Pacific region, just in the last 3 months, there have been regulatory changes in Korea, in Japan, in China. China, for the first time, has opened direct ownership of data centers in 4 pilot locations. This has never happened. So this happened in October end. And recently we saw certain challenges in Johor, which is seeing a lot of spillover from Singapore. So it's a very key topic of discussion in the industry, not just in India, outside India as well. And we are seeing legislation evolving, improving, adapting to how the industry and the product has evolved. Now, with this context in mind, we'll see what is it that's really good in India that many of us are probably not aware of, and how is it that we are making improvements to make sure that we are ahead of the race and continue to be at the forefront of data center development and investments. So my first question to you, Mr. Thase, as I mentioned, we are already in Maharashtra through Mumbai at a 50% market share. If you include Pune, it's actually more than 50%. And Cushman Wakefield report suggests that even in the next few years, that leadership for Maharashtra and Mumbai will continue. What is it that Maharashtra did so well historically that ensured such a leadership position for Mumbai and locations within Mumbai?
Thank you, and very, very good morning to everyone. To my senior colleague, Mr. Joshi, to Mr. Berry, and also to the senior representative from Cushman and Wakefield. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. This is a topic very, very close to my heart. I have been associated in driving the data center policy right from 2014 in Maharashtra. And I think the fundamental pillar was, the very specific answer to your question is that we obviously have a huge geographical advantage. But having a geographical advantage doesn't necessarily mean that you can take and create the necessary ecosystem for the growth of industry. And that's what precisely we ended up doing. I think data center business is not a very complicated business like deep tech manufacturing or anything like that. But it needs a solid policy support, and it needs government to encourage, to understand the nitty-gritties of the way data center, whether it's hyperscaler or third party, how they operate. These individuals, these companies are dealing with the best companies in the world. So the impression that you create in your data center ecosystem has a long-lasting impact on the companies that get deployed there, and they have a very favorable outlook towards your state and your government. So these are some critical aspects of understanding. So you need to understand the nuances of what ease of doing business really means in the data center piece. And I'm sure that a lot of you are playing an important role in the entire data center value chain. Some of you may be builders, some of you may be component manufacturers, some of you may be OEMs. So the whole ecosystem needs to have, a sense of relief and certainty when it comes to that particular business. And I feel that we are very fortunate enough that we had a very solid political leadership in the then Chief Minister, Mr. Fadnavis, who was in fact the first Chief Minister in the country to completely open up government data center and take it to cloud. We were met with a lot of resistance at that point in time because a lot of questions were being asked. At that point in time, government was running about 75 data centers of their own and were procuring servers worth 480 crores a year. And every single time when, if you are a Mumbaikar, if you are, let's say, filling up your stamp duty on 31st of December, or there is some cutoff, the servers used to shut down, there used to be a huge delay, the application used to crash. The reason being is that the government is not in the data center business. We are not supposed to do data center business. We are supposed to facilitate. So by bringing in the policy to allowing data center to kind of create a private cloud, to create a public cloud, basis the confidentiality of data, of course, because government stores a lot of significant data, we were able to push this through. And because of that, a lot of technology advancements started to come. The second important facet of why Maharashtra is chosen or preferred destination, and as far as statistics is concerned, we have 67% of India's data center, including Pune and Pimpri-Chinchwad and some of the other areas. So what that allows us to do is that allows us to very aggressively interact with data center companies, understand what their issues are, create ways by which we can kind of de-bottleneck them quickly. We also have the advantage of having a solid and a robust power infrastructure. Currently, we are at about 45 gigawatt. We have targeted to become about 84 gigawatt by 2029. This is in line with our $1 trillion economy goal. So Mumbai is considered as a gateway to India's $5 trillion goal. So these are all important pillars of building this to help various industries and data center, because power is the biggest raw material for data centers. It has provided the necessary push. So to summarize, one is that we were very focused. Our policies were not straight-jacketed, because as he correctly said, that this is it's an evolving space. You need to have your ear to the ground. You need to listen to data center companies and also to third-party vendors and also to the builders to understand what are the changes required. Our energy department has undergone a significant change. I wouldn't say that it is now everything is perfect and it's done and everything is like hunky-dory. It is not, but it's a process. But we are very tuned to what is happening in the data center space, and I can assure all of you here that Maharashtra will continue to be #1 data center capital of the country.
Thank you, Mr. Thase. This is what I like talking to senior government representatives. You get so many insights that we people in the private world are so busy with our lives, we don't really know what's happening, what the government is doing. That's really, really helpful. And I would recommend to everybody else, I'm getting a sense that we'll get more such insights today, maybe some breaking news hopefully. But suggest to your friends to come and have more conversation with the group later. My next question to Mr. Joshi. Now, we've done some study earlier this year on where we said from about 3 gigawatt of operational under construction planning, there will be even more demand or need or potential for data centers in India, going up to 5 to 7 gigawatts. With all this work happening and all the cloud, public cloud that Mr. Thase was talking about, what is the approach, the thought process of the government when it comes to data security? What's happening on that front? Because that becomes a question for both private and public users.
So, first of all, good morning to everyone, and Vivek and Kaustubh and Sid. The data security, we all know it now, very important. It's today data-driven economy, and we are aspiring to be a Wakefield Bharat by 2047, $30 trillion economy, and the role of digital India. Digital economy is very, very important, and thereby the role of data center is important. But on one way, we are driving the economy in the digital ecosystem by delivering all the services in the paperless, presenceless, and the cashless manner in India. But we have to ensure the security of data. So that two aspects. One is the security of the data center at the server level or the network level, etc., and the other is security at the last mile. So we can't say that yes, we are foolproof from only in the data center, but someone can intrude from the last mile also. So we have to ensure the security at the both external or internal at the data center. So I will give the example. See, because the communication network is the backbone of everything, right? And lots of data is going through the communication network. So in telecom, we can mandate all the ISPs and the ESPs. It is mandatory to them, whichever network equipment, router, server they are, deploying. Because you don't know what hardware you are using. Software, of course, you are having so many applications and you are ensuring security. But with respect to hardware, it has to be trusted hardware. It has to. We should know what is the source of that hardware, right? Someone has to do some due diligence. So there is already a list that all verified vendors, trusted vendors is available on a telecom trust portal. So MHA, there is a wing of MHA which is doing all these due diligence and saying that yes, this vendor is okay, we can trust this vendor. So for telco system, it is mandatory, but other as on date is voluntary. But what we recommend, because it's your risk, because when you are handling so much of the data, so you have to ensure that whatever hardware you are buying, it should be from that list. So new vendors can approach, right, as there is a process, they can approach the concerned wing of the MHA to get their product, whitelisted on that, so one can consume. And as a data center provider or IT system provider, we have to ensure that whatever we are using, because in coming time, the era of this AI or ML, lots of things are happening. So we have to ensure the data should not get leaked, right? Otherwise, people are simply just copying data. Even I have heard that encrypted data also people are taking, because in the age of the quantum computing, maybe after 3 years or 2 years, right, they can make use of that encrypted data after decrypting. So this is one part. And another part that we have to ensure the last mile also, the security, right? Because and their mobile has become very critical instrument and smart device. So for that also, Ministry of Communication has taken a step in the Sanchar Sati and the Chakshu portal. So whenever any fraud call is coming and suspected calls are coming, one can report on the Chakshu portal of the Department of Telecom. So we are doing all the analysis of data and we are blocking those mobile numbers or from those mobile handsets from where these calls are getting originated, right? And so we are cleaning the system. Again, using the AI/ML system, we are finding which are the mobile numbers which have taken on the fraudulent manner. That also we are weeding out, because we have to two ways. One is the data center security and the last mile security also we have to ensure. And suppose your mobile has lost, suppose I lost my mobile, immediately my facial expression will change, right? Lots of things, it's a treasure in that mobile. So we have to report immediately. So if you report on the portal, immediately system will block that IMI numbers. At least you are safe. So many initiatives have been taken by the Department of Telecom from data center perspective, that is from hardware perspective, and from the last mile perspective. So, but we all have to work in a team to ensure overall security of the nation.
This is so heartening to note how progressive the government is viewing this and categorizing it in various ways. And this is all good information for all of us to make sure that we absorb and implement all those certified vendors and everything else in our process. Now I'll move to Mr. Berry. Now you have extensive experience in developing data centers, but data centers as an asset class in the last 5-7 years has completely evolved, completely changed. How has your business, the development, the construction business, seen that changes? How have you evolved from that perspective as an industry?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank W.Media for arranging this fantastic platform where the thought leaders of the industries and of the government are here. Sir, in a value chain, in a delivery of a birth, ultimately the pain will be taken by, set by the mother, not the father or anybody else. So, rightly or wrongly, I am in that delivery of the project. Okay, so here, Mr. Kaustup is here, Mr. Joshi is here. Sir, Maharashtra, rather Mumbai, is already you are already a leader. You are already captured almost 60% of the market. But my suggestion and my insight is how to take it to the next level, how to give that paradigm shift. because the name of the game in the entire data center industry is about the speed. This is speedy delivery. So in that speedy delivery, I put in this manner of there is a lab in the track. The lab is land, approvals, power. I'm giving in a just to put the word in a right perspective. I use the word lab to the trap. So this is where if Maharashtra and Mumbai particularly can take a thought leadership, that can help a great deal, not only for Mumbai and Maharashtra, for the entire India. And 21st century is for India. It is our pride. We have to make it to the global level. So in the land, the less said is better. It takes months. Our friend knows about, he has given number of land parcel for the mini data center industry. It takes months and years to get the land parcel. In that context, any possibility of, government taking an initiative, creating a large data center park, huge one, maybe 500 acres of land parcel, where you will have a 400 kVA, some 3 or 4 station, and then open it to the industry. So this is one aspect. Then the approvals, with the all good intention and everything, it takes time. It takes time to get the approval, the permission, the NOCs and etc. In that, is it possible? Because you see, data center, there is a wrong notion that data center, when you talk about data center with the government, they say how much job you are creating. My friend, it's a wrong myth altogether. Because directly, we may have less people. We may have 300 people for working a 90 megawatts of data center. But you imagine the industry, imagine the power industry, construction industry, and machine industry. It is in millions. So that they don't see. Directly, yes, but indirectly huge. And then the kind of investment what data center can bring, sir, no other industry. No other, it's all in billions now. So on the sanction and approval front, is it possible to carve out a small team of 3 or 5 members? They will focus only on data center. When the data center application comes, they will focus about that. And the last thing is about the power. So power, thankfully you have, I think 6 national grid is running, mainly into the Navi Mumbai area. But then, because power, we are all power surplus. Practically, if you see the India, most of the state is power surplus. But the transmission is a key. And we get the assurance letter in a week's time. But assurance is an assurance. Ultimately, you have to give the power. You have to make the data center go live. So that is where again the major challenges and issues are there. So other than this lab, one more thing. You see, the industry, the main aspect is equipment, machinery. Can you come out with a policy where, because they say per megawatts of power takes about $6 to $7 million, to make it happen. In that, 60% is all MEP. Can we come out with one industry exclusively for this? Exclusively for making machinery, making equipment in that industry, primarily to supply to the data center industry. That is where, we are really facing a major problem, because, we have to import. And then, as I told you when I started with, it is all about the, name of the game is the speed.
So, Mr. Berry, you actually set the perfect platform for me to come to Mr. Dhawse for this. But before that, just to share a few insights. Yes, land is a challenge. But based on my experience of having done land transactions in 14 countries where we operate as a firm, India land acquisition is still significantly better, easier than most other countries. We unnecessarily end up giving negative press to ourselves. Data center land acquisitions take time, 12 to 18 months, that's normal everywhere. But if in India we use the right partners, lawyers, advisors, technical advisors, I have seen large multinationals, American cloud firms, they have bought land directly, private freehold land across India very successfully, and they've built on time, on schedule, so it's a very positive story generally speaking. But now, taking cue from Mr. Berry, Mr. Dhawse, coming to you, and we had this quick conversation on this earlier, there are some really good current incentives and plans and policies that Maharashtra already has, which I'm assuming many of the people in the group might be aware, might not be aware, but if you could just shed some light, based on what Mr. Berry is saying, what is it that Maharashtra currently provides as a fundamental ecosystem with the incentives, policies, and infrastructure that should be beneficial to everybody?
Yeah. No, I think exceptionally good points brought up by Mr. Berry, because he is a participant in this industry. He realizes the pain, and one of the key things of any industry participant is that you have to give honest, unadulterated feedback to the government. That's the starting point. Because if you keep on saying that nahi, wo aisa, this has to be done this way, this has to be done this way, no, we understand how business is done, then what happens is that we are never able to fix the issue for long term. I have seen the pain that data center companies have gone through in the last 10 years. I exactly know the issues, where they come, how they come, and what needs to be done to fix it. In fact, the recommendation he made just now was a recommendation that I had given to a bunch of data center companies that had come to me, and had said that we will create a small unit within the power department so that, you know, it is faster, we are able to give approvals quicker, because inherently we are also, as government, as a department, coming to terms with the needs and necessities and requirements of data center business. It is not a easy power sector just plug and play. There are a lot of nuances required. You have to down the grid at times, to up the grid, to get the data center in the grid and then release it. So there are some very technical intricacies involved, and I have also learned that. I was also not aware. I remember a call that a data center company CEO made to me, and our assembly was in session. And assembly was going on in Vidhan Bhavan, and he made a call to me and he said that I had a confirmed blackout during this time between 2 and 4, and now I have been told it cannot be done because assembly is in session. What happens if, you know, our power goes down and we are not able to give redundancy and so on and so forth. Thankfully, we were able to not listen to our department. We went with the blackout. Thankfully, nothing happened. But the fact of the matter is that I have realized over a period of time that there are some very important nitty-gritties. So as a government, we are also evolving. We are also understanding but it is important for us to get to know what exactly the issue is. Secondly, land. Land is a very big issue in Navi Mumbai. I know of companies who have bought land at 15 crores an acre, 20 crores an acre, 8 crores an acre, private land. And in MIDC, land is very, very scarce. So we have realized that data centers are going to be in and around the sea, in and around the area. So I can formally, because we are in code of conduct, ladies and gentlemen, you have all cast your ballot. It's sealed to be open tomorrow. So I can't make like very sweeping announcements of anything, or I'll get an EC notice. But I can say with a great sense of confidence that you can expect whichever government comes into play from 23rd onwards, that particular policy announcements of a data center park is coming. We have spent a lot of time, and why it is necessary for us to do it? It is necessary for us to do it is because we are seeing data center companies literally being butchered on per acre rates. See, eventually what is going to happen is that data center business is a very profitable business. They have huge margins and all of that, but inflation is going to rise. At some point in time, some cutting of the corners may happen, which I don't want to happen because it is such a very high advanced facility. So the second part we are taking care of. I'm assuring you today that there is an announcement coming, but that announcement I am not allowed to make, and because of the code of conduct. Third very important and crucial thing is, this question is always asked in cabinet meetings, this question is always asked in cabinet subcommittee for industries, ki why are we encouraging data centers? They are taking up land and they are not literally producing jobs. Now this is a very antiquated view of looking at jobs, because we have been born and brought up in a scenario where our growths have been linear. Addition of headcount was revenue. 1% added, revenue, fit tax revenue. Things are not operating like that in the data center business. It's a non-linear business model. Its contribution to your economy is exponential. because we all can function, our UPI apps can function, our applications can work, our system of Digital India that Mr. Joshi mentioned can successfully, seamlessly operate because of a solid, robust data center ecosystem that we have been able to successfully create. In fact, I'll tell you one example. If an Indian today travels abroad, he is absolutely agitated with the data speeds he gets. Because he says that what is going on, which country is this? It's a first world country and why is the internet slow? So, in order to become $1 trillion economy, as Mr. Berry said, in fact it is our tenet, speed of data is very crucial and speed of travel is the other part. So I am fully agreeing with what he's saying, and I can tell you that the government, hopefully the right government comes in place, they will put this into action.
Thank you, Mr. Thapse. And this is so heartening to hear because we deal with, as a group, as data center professionals, with so many other state governments, and not every other state government shares that view about the downstream job creation and investment of data centers. People have to view this as a quasi-real estate, quasi-infrastructure, and just as you build a dam, and there are not a lot of people working in a dam or a thermal power station, but you need that to generate electricity to run the economy. Similarly, we require data centers to run the digital economy, and that's how we'll reach that multi-trillion-dollar targets as a GDP. Now, it's very heartening from a Maharashtra perspective. I'm sure from a central government perspective as well, there are a lot of things that are happening that we're probably not aware of. And if I could focus on the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, Mr. Joshi, it's slightly flexible. It talks about potentially storing data in friendly nations. How are you seeing that particular approach of the government evolving? Share something on that.
So DPDP Act now all knows, I think, and you must know about that. This already Act has been passed and discussion on any time it may be announced that yes, it's going to be implemented and it will get the effect. So one is that maybe we have been talking about data sovereignty and we should store the data locally at the data center, etc., etc. But this bill, when discussed, and that time government of India has passed this act, we want to promote the startups, and we don't want to stop the innovations. It's not that something is good is available any other friendly country. So why not we take the advantage of that? So from that perspective, this act is flexible. Yeah, the law of the land should prevail. If data processing is happening somewhere in the hostile country, that is not permitted. So the list is going to be published. Okay, here yes you can process the data. Here you can't transfer the data. So all these things. So ultimately, we have to ensure that more and more application will come. Right, more and more startups, more and more innovation will happen. So DPDP will act as a facilitator for that, right? Because the overall objective of the government of India is we have to boost the innovation or the economy and take everyone with us as a team. So, but now coming to the sensitive data sometimes, so there is no embargo because even in the government, maybe Kaustubh can further elaborate that suppose we want data has to be there in the local data center. So already MIT is in the process to empanel. There are existing empanel vendor from the data localization perspective. So one can make use of those data center. So market is open. So Act is not saying that you should not do this or you should do this. It's market driven, right? So for innovation, startups, or someone wants to consume the services of other friendly countries, you can consume it. But if there is sensitive data, we want it has to be data sovereignty and it has to be local for some purpose. So then we can make use of all the empaneled, data vendor. Now, one more point that I would like to share that. Because industry, sometimes what I am feeling is still, not reading each line of the DPDP Act. They are, when we announce them, see, announcement may come, but you should go through the Act and start complying it, right? Change your architecture, right? So that we have to ensure. Because, for example, I take the Aadhaar example. It's lots of data, and not a single breach of data as on date. Because we have seen what is the sensitive data, biometric data, it's a private cloud. What type of encryption, what to we give the access, what not to give access, what layer of security. So, otherwise very hefty penalty in the DPDP Act. So we have to ensure at the data center security as well as whosoever is hosting the data. So we have to ensure all the compliances in advance. So it should not be a surprise that even from tomorrow suppose it's going to be the effect the soup. Right. So this is what I would like to share, that please DPDP Act very beautifully drafted or passed each and everything, and it is for to boost the economy, not to deter the economy.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi, and I completely agree. And I'll probably come back to you for some more innovations that the government is planning. But before that, Mr. Berry, if you could just dig a bit deeper on what you said earlier with regard to, let's say, new construction technologies. We see a lot of prefab happening in data center construction to reduce the construction timeline in other parts. So what is it specifically from a construction technology perspective that you think could be incentivized by the government, which can then improve the speed of delivery of constructing data centers in India?
See, as far as the government concerned, I think they have a limited role to play when it comes to the once the sanction is approved, sanction is given, then it is a client and the contractor and the consultant, it is their ability to deliver. What we are missing is, see, construction industry is all about the planning. But what happens, so world over, it is 70% planning, 30% execution. And in India, it is 15 to 20% planning and 80% according to me is firefighting. So the planning, that is a key factor. And that planning is not merely an architect and the client's planning. Architect, the developer, the consultant, the end user, have already been secured. Every stakeholder, I normally say, take a 1 week off to Maldives or someplace, lock yourself and engage your brain. Work out the micro level planning, micro level design. But there is a challenge. The challenge is, today, data center is the only segment where they cannot visualize who's the end customer. Even if they have a customer, the customer is keep changing, it's a dynamic. And with the artificial intelligence and machine learning, sky is not the limit. So, so that means the design has to have a flexibility, inbuilt flexibility. Of course, the flexibility again, there's a limitation. So this is a very dynamic, challenging world. So in this, so it is not your data sheet and all that's not going to work. Data center development is not who's having a 200,000 crores of book value. That is not his cup of tea. Here, one has to put his heart and soul. He has to take the ownership end to end. That is where we can make the delivery possible.
Thank you, Mr. Perry, and yes, completely agree with you. Mr. Dhawse, if I could come back to you. Many other states have their own data center policies, just as Maharashtra does. They try to encourage sustainability, renewable power, when it comes to developing data centers, and power is a huge requirement for all data center firms. My request is, if you could just shed some light on what is it that Maharashtra is doing on the renewable energy side, which is then going to be helpful to the data center firms as well, to make sure that they meet the sustainability norms.
Very important question, in fact. I think there is nobody in the room, or there could be a few people who don't believe in climate change. And with all due respect to everybody in the room, climate change, for me, personal opinion, is extremely real, and governments across the world are very aggressively and seriously looking at means and measures. The onus is on developing worlds, because the developed world have already done everything incorrectly in their earlier part during developing their countries, and now they have realized the onslaught of what that can do. So there is a lot of pressure on all of us. But thankfully, in our favor, what has happened is that as we proceed towards fulfilling the Honorable Prime Minister's commitment towards net zero or the Paris Agreement, each and every individual, including each and every government, each and every political leader, needs to have a sense of responsibility towards ensuring that businesses grow sustainably. In which now, since we are the topic of the energy sector and the department is with us, our journey, as I indicated, from 45 gigawatt to 84 gigawatt, more than 50% of that particular growth is from green and non-conventional fuels, which is a very important testament of our full commitment to this goal. Now, within which, because our data center business, and thankfully, is growing at a very, very rapid pace, we recently introduced just I think it was the second last cabinet before the code of conduct came into place, was a policy on green data centers. And I encourage each and every one of you to please read that policy in detail. It's a very comprehensively laid out policy, because we have understood what your core raw material is, and we want to encourage you to take that raw material in the most sustainable form as possible. And for you to take that important leap, we are incentivizing you significantly. So we are providing you the power, but we are also giving you an incentive if you make a very conscious decision that you will use that as the necessary source from a growth standpoint. Because this is a very, very touchy topic for data center companies. When you start talking about power, they absolutely are, they don't negotiate. They obviously, because everything is dependent on it, and its reliability is what their customers are asking them, and that's the reason why the preference comes to certain states. So we have introduced, I encourage you to read, there are 3-4 important facets of that policy, and I am 100% convinced that more than 40 to 45% of the data center applications that are sitting with us right now, slowly and steadily as the policy kicks in, will use that incentive badge and move into gaining from the government on fiscal side also. So in summary, we are very, very sensitive about this. We have put in policy measures. We want the business to grow, but we want the business to grow sustainably.
Thank you very much, and I think we should thank W.Media for a platform where green data center policy information can be shared with such a larger group, and people can then plan proactively in advance. I'm mindful of time. We are in the last 5 minutes, so I'll come to you, Mr. Joshi, and I'll try to continue with the same theme of new things that the fraternity is not aware of, and I know Maharashtra is the cutting edge already, but what's happening at the central government level? What are the innovations, new things that the government is doing? Maybe there is something that you've done which people are not even aware of, which should probably just share insights with everybody else.
So, as everyone has talked about the speed, right? We require the connectivity. And so, initially when we want to start any business or anything, so infrastructure, road, transport, etc., etc., but now it's a digital highway. So, under the BharatNet project, already optical fiber has been laid, and our 2 lakhs gram panchayat, 200,000 gram panchayat are connected to the fiber under the BharatNet project. And the entire, the funding is from the government of India.
So India has dark fiber in 2 lakh.
Yeah, it's a dark fiber. It's a dark fiber. And in the Maharashtra, the phase 1 and phase 2, it is available in Maharashtra. All the gram panchayats are connected with the fibers. Yeah. So maybe someone wants to, create any facility, they can make use of the fiber available. And under BharatNet phase 3 also, the entire country is going to be connected, and more villages, left out villages are also coming on the fiber. This is the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, that every part of our country should have the very high speed connectivity. And then to access the services also, 4G is already there, and 5G we are the fastest rollout across the world. And we are working on the Make in India technology 4G, and remaining 26,000 villages where no coverage is there. That is also by this financial year we are going to coverage. And now further innovate, in the digital ecosystem, because now IoT or the 5G, where most of the data will come in coming future. So one has to innovate, and they can test their application or the product under any of the 5G lab. There are 100 5G labs have been established in academic institutes by the government of India, that the funding by the Department of Telecom. And in addition to that, the 200 AI lab are also coming in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 circuit by the MIT. So the government is facilitating the industry ecosystem, continuous engagement, and particularly promoting the young talent and the startups, right? This is how the young generation can contribute for the new application, and how they can facilitate to ensure that yes, we will have a very dynamic ecosystem, and we can get more and more services.
So you're saying private entrepreneurs, startups can use the labs set up by the government, even the AI ones which are coming up,
yes,
for making use of it and using them to create their innovations.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is very insightful for me. I wasn't aware of so many things that got shared in the conversation today. India and I'll just try to just close out the conversation with a quick summary. India already is at a forefront of the data center boom, the investment. Mumbai being one of the top 5 markets in Asia Pacific, India being one of the largest growing segment, and there are reasons for it. As a country, we are power surplus. We have significant green power. We're a rare country where green power can be cheaper than black power. That is not the case in most countries around the world. And the developments the last 5 years, where a lot of the American cloud firms have come, bought land, have built their data centers which are operational now, is only expected to continue. One thing that we did not touch, which is a completely separate topic of a conversation we had in the morning, is AI. As and when that demand starts reaching our shores, the requirement for power, requirement for policy, incentives and everything else will only continue. So the learning for all of us is that a lot of good has been achieved, and considering such a fast evolving asset class, we'll have to keep up the good work for the next 5-10 years to make sure we stay at the forefront.
Just one point, sir, because we never get this opportunity. It's a golden opportunity, you know. So this is regarding the edge data center. You know, edge data center, again, Maharashtra should take the lead.
Yeah.
There are 197 tier 2 cities, and some cities are like cities like Indore. You know, I mean, their per capita, their business happening is much more than, part of even Mumbai or, some other place. So that is where the edge data center can make a revolution. You know, so I'm not only looking at Maharashtra. Maharashtra as a thought leader to, you are an ideator and you will take the first step. Then what happens? The whole India will follow. So in the bargain, the entire country will grow.
That's a very good point.
Thank you. I agree with all the points. I thank you for.
Normally, whenever the government officials are there, I ask this question. Then my question is, what do you want to listen? You want to listen what I want to say, or what do you want to listen what you want to listen? आप जो मैं जो बोलना चाहता हूँ वो आप सुनना चाहते हैं, या आप जो सुनना चाहते हो मैं बोल.
हम सही फीडबैक सुनना चाहते हैं.
Everybody listen to what you say, so that's good.
You have encouraged, and thanks a lot. God bless.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for your
Mr.
patience.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.